All right, guys, we're back again. Welcome to Mini Talks with John. This is the 8th episode in my podcast series. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we're talking about how to save money, especially easy little ways that you can use to save a little extra money. First off, cancel Netflix. I'm kidding. Well, that is true. You could save about $100 a year if you did that, but we're going to go a little bit more deeper than that. I myself have Netflix. You can surf subscriptions, like you get HBO for a little bit, then you get Netflix, then you get Funimation. It's up to you. I do that sometimes. That way I only pay for the ones that I'm currently watching, and then I switch them out. That is one way I save a tiny little bit of money, but I'm going to try to work on a few things that actually have a much larger impact. And the first thing that I want us to do, this is a very hard thing to do, this very painful thing to do, is to actually write out every single one of your monthly expenses. Every single time money leaves your possession, you need to write it down in a journal or on a piece of paper. Now, this is very hard to do, especially for a lot of us who have crushing debt or too much credit card bills. You don't want to look at the credit card bill. You don't want to look at any bills. You don't want to look at your expenses because you know you're going to hate yourself for buying that $200 jacket or that $200 watch or those shoes that you don't actually need. This is a really big part of the process, though. In order to make something better, we need to be able to confront it head on, and that takes a lot of strength. So I really want to encourage you, first off, is that it's okay and you can forgive yourself for things that you're not pleased with. If you're not happy with a past purchase, let's just learn from it, make ourselves better, and forgive ourselves for that and do better in the future. So the biggest thing that you can do is actually look at your expenses. Look at all of it, write it all down, push yourself through that pain if it's painful for you. Write every single expense down. Every dollar, every cent, write it all down. And then look at it all big picture. And then draw correlations and find reoccurring purchases and put them all in a group. And then decide, do I really need this? Did I need to buy this at this point in time and then buy it again later? What effect is this having on my life now? And then once you have all your expenses laid out, you could sort of look through it. And what I mean by expenses, I mean everything, not just a $200 grocery bill. I mean every single item you bought. Keep your receipts, write down every single item you bought, and do a really in-depth evaluation of whether or not that has actually paid off for you, if it's being useful, if it's something that is still benefiting you later on, and see what you can cut. So for example, if you find out that you're spending $10 at Tim Hortons 4 days a week, well, guess what? That's $40 a week. And that's, doing math in my head now, $160 a month on Tim Hortons. And then you're wondering, well, I had trouble paying my grocery bill. Well, now you found something. Maybe something that was subconscious that you didn't realize you were spending all that much. You didn't realize that buying the extra candy bar here and there or buying the latte over the period of a month would actually add up to $100 or more dollars. $100 more dollars, maybe $200 that you could have used to pay off your credit card bill or your mortgage or pay your bills or pay your rent. And so by doing this, you really give yourself the advantage in terms of actually being able to cut back on things that don't provide real value to your life. And so if you find that you're eating out too much and you could save $50 to $100 just by buying your own food and making it yourself, or buying in bulk even, that's something we'll talk about in just a few minutes. Well then, you can do that, and you can actually save yourself a lot of money, especially if you really start to budget and you really start to watch and control what it is that you do. Basically, what gets measured improves. And so if you measure your expenses, you have the ability to improve it. So that's really the first thing that I would suggest, is go through the pain of writing out all of your expenses and then decide, was it really worth it? and then make changes for the next month. And I think you'll find that you have quite a few extra dollars at the end of the month, depending on how well you're doing so far. So the next thing would be translating after that is in the next month, once you have all the expenses listed out and you've decided what you do and don't need, don't buy extra expenses that you don't need. Don't go into debt to buy a brand new car when a used one on Kijiji would do just fine. Don't get a bigger apartment if the one you have is just fine. Really leverage minimalism in a sense to pay off your debt and give yourself a little bit of the advantage, a little bit of extra flexibility. And it all comes down to your values and what you're really willing to put up with in your life. Like, do you really want the new apartment, or do you just want it because your friends have it? Do you really want that $200 watch, or are you just trying to impress your friends? Your purchases should be about you, not about other people. So don't fall for the trap of trying to impress people and keep up with them. No, you do you. You really be self-reflective and decide if these things that I'm buying, do I really want these? Do I really need these? Are these actually going to make me happy? Or am I just buying this because so-and-so has it and I want to impress them, or I want to be like them, or I want to impress so-and-so because I'm going to get a better thing than they have. Deciding where you are in that and what your values are. So maybe you're willing to have a smaller apartment or a smaller house because you want to save money for a business you want to start up. It's all dependent on who you are and what your values are. So really take time to write out your values and what's most important to you. And then that can also help you stop buying things that don't actually contribute to your values, that don't actually make you happy. If it's just to impress people, well, maybe it's not really worth it. And that extra $200 would help you pay your rent or pay off your credit card bill and move yourself forward in life instead of worrying about impressing so-and-so who, let's be honest, if they're only going to be friends with you or like you because of what the thing you bought or how much money you show you have, well, then they're not really worth your time. So I wouldn't worry much about that. And then once you've done all this and you've sort of figured out what your values are and you only want to buy in that section, you only want to buy for yourself, not to impress, but just for you, just to live in a lifestyle that is comfortable, or to build towards a lifestyle that's comfortable, because not everyone has a lifestyle that they want right now, but we can make sacrifices now to get it later, whether you need to save extra $1,000 to start your own business or what have you. We're all in a different place. So once you figure out your values and where you're going and cut out all the expenses that you don't need, that don't make you happy, that don't contribute to your life and don't get you to that future that you want, then we could sort of get a little bit more crafty in terms of price checking and getting the most bang for a buck when it comes to buying things, such as if you want to cut back on how much you eat out because it's really not that important to you. You want to save gas. You don't want to, you could save gas. You don't have to dress up as much, which means you can enjoy your evenings more. Maybe it depends on who you are. I myself, going out is a bit of a hassle for me, so I probably wouldn't do it. I would only eat out like on the way home, and even then I've cut that back because I realized that the amount of money I could save per month gets me a lot more value when I spend it on something like Facebook ads or building up my net worth or paying off debt and things like that. And so once you do that, you can really be thrifty and figure out just what it is and really get the most bang for your buck. So for example, you can even change your diet to accommodate for buying in bulk. So if you realize that rice is really cheap and it lasts a heck of a long time and you can get a lot of good meals out of it, maybe add rice to your diet or make it a staple of your diet. You can save money by just buying that a lot. And so just rinse and repeat and do that for every single thing that you do. You can clean out your wardrobe and have extra room in your closet and then only buy clothes that match. That way you can buy less clothes but have multiple different outfits that you don't have to buy as much clothes. You can also buy if you're in a slightly better position, you can buy things that are slightly better quality, say like Old Navy or something like that. That way it lasts longer. Like for me this year, I don't think I'm going to spend anything on clothes in 2020, mainly because the shirts that I have and the clothes that I have, they're Old Navy, and so they last longer. And so I don't have to spend any money on clothes this year because I already have enough, and they all match. Like it's mostly like burgundy reds, grays, or blacks. So basically I can fit and match basically anything on my wardrobe, and that allows me to not have to have as many different pieces, which means I didn't spend as much money. And because it's a bit better quality, like Old Navy, it's not a cheap Amazon shirt or cheap like Walmart. Because it's better quality, it lasts longer, and it still feels good, so I don't have to buy anything this year, and thus I'm saving money. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you guys. I hope this helps you, and stay strong, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.